So I have a pretty exciting trip planned for the holidays. I'm going to Portugal
And who are you going with?
and I'm going with my mom and my twin brother, and we're meeting my sister who's in London right now, but she'll be traveling there to meet us.
Okay.
I am really excited about this trip. I think it's a place I've always wanted to go, beautiful country. But every time I think about it, instead of actually having that excitement towards the trip, it's this pit of anxiety and fear around, am I even going to get there? Because I have this long flight ahead of me.
Meaning, am I going to get on the plane or is the plane going to make it to Portugal?
Is the plane going to make it to Portugal?
Gotcha. How many
Yeah.
days from now is this flight?
A couple weeks right before Christmas.
And since this is a couple weeks away,
Hmm.
are you feeling nervous yet?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Describe what that means for you.
For me, it's just like this impending doom, I guess, like this anticipation of a really traumatizing experience. Not to be dramatic, but like it's this pit in my stomach anytime I start to think about it, just the normal anxiety tendencies come up, like my chest feels heavy, I have that like pit in my stomach, and I don't know, like my mind just goes into a million different directions and none of them are positive. They're all just what ifs, what if this, what if that.
And does it get worse the closer you get to actually having to get on that plane and take that trip?
Yeah. I mean, there's always this element of denial, like I'm not actually going to do it. And then I will eventually be faced with getting on that airplane. And that is kind of when it really clicks of this plane like is not going to make it there. I like need to make sure I tell everyone I love them. Those kind of really irrational feelings come to surface at that point.
So, I want to tell you something. You may not know this about me, but I used to be a nervous flyer. And I used to have the exact same feelings, the pit in my stomach. I would constantly entertain the thought, well, maybe I just won't go. I
Mm-hmm.
used to, when I was flying home to Western Michigan to see my parents for Christmas, I would send the presents ahead because I wanted to make sure that if the plane went down and I died on that flight, that they got the presents. And it would get worse and worse and worse as the date for travel would approach. And I noticed as I became an adult, and I had to book my own tickets, my nervousness would also interfere with my ability to book the ticket because I would look at the flight options and I would feel like I was playing Russian roulette and I had to pick the right plane
Yeah.
because only one of these planes was going to make it. And so I don't know if you feel any of this kind of stuff, but I would delay booking the flights. And the next thing you know, there are no cheap seats and now it's expensive. And so it just, my nervousness for me was more than a pit in my stomach. Does this sound familiar?
Oh yeah. I it's almost comical when I share like I'm booking these flights and I also have a tab open looking at every safety rating and if there was any experience of this aircraft going down, and I'm like doing this research, like this whole research project, and I'm going in 2 hours away, and it's so strange that people don't have, maybe not strange, I'm jealous of it, but I always just assumed people went through the same thought process as me, that not everyone's panicked about if their flight is gonna make it to their destination.
Well, first of all, I think it's normal to have thoughts about your own mortality when you are in a situation where you're not in control. And so I think that's normal. Second,
Mm-hmm.
I think most people are somewhat nervous about flying. I mean, we are climbing onto a metal tube and we're rocketing 30,000 feet in the air with
Yeah.
a bunch of people we don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
then it starts to bounce around as we are hitting turbulence. And I think most people sit on that plane pretending that they're not terrified. And that those of us that kind of talk about it, we can laugh about it. But, I've always noticed, particularly now that I can afford to fly up front in the plane, the drinks are free. And I've always been struck by the fact that, Cameron, I'd say 95% of the people that are offered a free drink take it at like 8 or 9 in the morning. And I don't think it's because they're alcoholics. I think it's because they're nervous. And so I think most people are busy texting their loved ones before the plane takes off, just in case. And so I
Yeah.
want you to understand the fear of dying is not irrational. The fear of being nervous in a situation where you have no control is not irrational. And so number one, don't make yourself wrong about it, because that just makes it worse. Okay. Because you're now not comforting yourself. You're rejecting your own fear. Okay. And when you
Yeah.
reject your fear, the fear gets louder. So when you get on the plane, are you better or are you worse?
I'm definitely worse because it's all those thoughts coming to a head. And like you just said, it's this deep uh fear of not being in control. I think that's where it all stems from. And I'm definitely not an adrenaline junkie, and I don't really like doing anything crazy that I can't control the outcome. And especially when I'm on an airplane and I don't know who I'm surrounded by, I don't know who's in charge of checking the airplane, like driving, what even is the proper term, flying it. Uh, the lack of control really creeps up on me. And I think that's really where the panic, I don't know, just solidifies and it's a mess from there,
So, how do you
usually.
manage this? Because we all have fears, right? Or we get nervous around something. So, like, you might get nervous walking into the SAT exam. And so then we all have little strategies that we use to try to calm our nerves. Or you might get nervous before you have to present something at work or in school. And so we have little strategies that we use to calm ourselves down. So, you're in the plane, you're buckled up,
Mm-hmm.
you're taking off, you're sitting next to your mother and your brother, and the nerves hits. What are the little strategies that you use to try to make yourself literally be okay? Like, can you put us at the scene of a moment when you were on a plane and turbulence hit and like you felt like the spike of nervousness? What did you do?
I wish I had a strategy that I could say I lean into. I would say rejecting that fear is more of the route I take, where I kind of beat myself up for having this fear in general, considering, I don't know, there's just so much more. And I'm sitting here freaked out about an airplane. But I think that's usually step one, is trying to, I don't know, like bring down that fear, be like, it's not even real. Like, what are you fearful about? Like, I think I just reject it, which is not helpful. And then that usually fails. And then from there, it becomes usually crying, kind of like a form of a panic attack. Uh, I can directly remember after I graduated college in 2021, all my friends and I, we got on an airplane to Tampa, Florida. Super exciting trip. Like, we had just finished the year riding this high, and everyone on the airplane has, like, their fun hats on. Everyone's like ordering some drinks. We just graduated. And then there's me in the corner, like reaching for a hand, trying to find some comfort in someone, crying in the corner, like trying to do all the things that aren't really helpful, I guess, which is me just being like, Cam, like, calm down. It's fine. You're fine. So that's my coping mechanism.
So just telling yourself you're fine work?
No, doesn't ever work.
Does making yourself wrong work when you're nervous?
No,
Does
it
telling
doesn't.
yourself to calm down ever work when you're nervous?
No.
Yeah,
Nope.
and let me tell you why. Because you can be two things at once. You can be terrified and you can find the courage to face it. You can be nervous about getting on a plane, and you
Mm-hmm.
can also get on that plane and coach yourself through the feelings of nerves. And when you invalidate yourself for very real fears,
Yeah.
and it's not the fear of crashing, it's the fear of dying. When you invalidate very real fears, you make the fear bigger. And so, first things first, Cameron, I want you to understand it is okay to have this fear. It's normal to be a nervous flyer. And that can be true. And you can use simple strategies backed by science to take control in a situation when you're normally nervous or afraid. And that's what I want to teach you to do. Because I believe that this is a problem in your life because it's holding you back from doing things that you would like to do with your life.
Yeah.
If you were not nervous about flying, what are some of the things that you would do in life?
If I conquered my fear of flying, I think it would also have like this trickle down effect on a lot of things that I have held myself back from, and just even like making it part of my personality that I'm not adventurous. Like I pride myself on that because I really don't like the risk of not feeling in control. So, in terms of flying, like I'm so young and I want to be able to say that I've seen more than I have. I think everyone can probably agree on that, even if you aren't young. Um, and yeah, like you said, just even booking a ticket myself, I'm like, yeah, that like, we'll do that next year. I'll go see that place next year. And yeah, it makes me sad to think that not only am I holding myself back from seeing places I really want to see, but going deeper than that, when I'm on the ground, letting that fear of, not being in control, not knowing everything kind of hold me back from taking risks in my everyday life.
Yeah. And I want to point something else out. So you are probably 5 weeks away from this incredible trip happening with your mom and your brother and your sister, going to a place
Yeah.
that you really want to go to with people that you love. And for the
Mm-hmm.
next 5 weeks, your nerves and your fear are going to impact how you feel for the next 5 weeks. It's not
Yeah.
just about being nervous when you fly, it's the anticipation and the fact that it's also going to make the next 5 weeks awful. Because you're going to be in your body feeling nervous, anticipating this flight. Your mind is going to be going wild about the worst case scenario. And so the real reason why it is important for all of us to recognize moments when we get nervous and moments when fear starts to escalate and to nip it in the bud and take control is not only so that you can get on the plane, it's so that you
Mm-hmm.
don't let it ruin the next 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And so there's also something bigger, and I want to just connect the dots because I think it'll be meaningful for everybody listening. Your father recently died suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
Did your fear of flying and this fear of losing control get worse after he died?
Yeah, 100%. I think any event that tests your control or basically throws it out the window, because I think I spent my whole life kind of latching onto that feeling, and then to have it completely ripped away from me in the matter of moments, it felt like, then now approaching events that I have no control over, it kind of brings back this feeling of like, wow, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have control over anything, which is true about life, which I struggle a lot with coming to that, I don't know, conclusion, or even accepting that. That acceptance is really difficult. I think that I'm not going to be able to control everything in my life. If it's a bad flight, or if it's the death of a family member, I can't control any of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. See, I think that's the bigger breakthrough for you. And it's the bigger breakthrough that we all need. That in order to enjoy your life and in order to experience all the things that you're meant to experience, learning how to be in those moments where you're nervous or you're afraid and flipping it so that you can step into possibilities, so you can experience all of the incredible things that your life has to offer, like an amazing trip to Portugal. And to be able to
yeah.
do that, Cameron, and enjoy the 5 weeks leading up to it, and to be able to get on that plane and enjoy the time with your mom and your brother and be filled with thoughts of excitement about seeing your sister, and then to be able to be in Portugal and enjoy the time there and not be consumed with thoughts about the fact that you're going to have to fly back to Boston. Say, I knew that you did that because that's what I used to do. What would that be like for you?
I mean, it would be really important. It's something that, I mean, this is why I'm so open to this conversation. And like you said, those 5 weeks leading up to it, already I feel that anxiety. And I think during the trip, I definitely don't want that really precious time I have with my family to be tainted by the fact that I'm sitting with anxiety about something I can't control, which is my flight home.
Yep. So here's what I'm going to tell you. You can control it. You can't control what the plane does, but you can control what it's like to be in your body and your head while you're on that plane. And you can control how? I'm going to teach you
how.
I'm going to teach you how. Because I used to
Okay.
be, here was Mel Robbins' old strategy. You ready for nervous flyer Mel, like, circa 1990s, early 2000s? So first of all, when I woke up, we're just going to talk day of, because I don't want to. I could spend 5 hours telling you all the stupid stuff I would do leading up to getting to the airport, and the way that I played roulette with which airline I would pick, and what seat I needed to be in, and all that kind of stuff. And so, if it were a beautiful day when I woke up on the day that I flew, I would have a 50% decrease in nerves compared to a day where it was cloudy, raining, or snowing. If we got bad weather, windy, wind shears, birds flying, we're in danger zone and the nervousness spikes. The closer we're getting to the airport, Cameron, I'm starting to lose my sense of taste. I'm starting to get dry mouth. I'm starting to get sweaty palms. I get to the airport and I am literally the nicest person you've ever met in your entire life. I am like sugar on a donut with every single airport employee, because I figure that if I have good karma, God is watching, and that that will help me. I then, go through baggage claim. I get to the gate very early. And when I get to the gate, Cameron, I am looking across the gate area, and I'm looking for 3 particular types of passengers. The passengers I'm looking for in my gate area, I'm looking for somebody, a man or a woman in uniform, right? So we want somebody in the military on the plane. I'm looking for somebody in a wheelchair. I'm looking for somebody with a baby. And boy, if we have a priest, a nun, a monk, anybody that is, of religious nature, boom, I'm feeling better. The nervousness has gone down a little bit because I can say to myself, if these folks are getting on my plane, God is not going to let this plane go down. Then that gets me on the plane. I get on the plane. I take a look to the left as we're boarding. I want to see a crew cut. I want to see a crew cut on one of the pilots because I want Air Force or Navy kind of cut. If I know that I can see military up front on one of those pilots, I can take another deep breath, so I'm ratcheting it down. Then I get in my seat and I start firing off the text to everybody that I know and love in case this sucker goes down, and that's when the hyperventilating starts. I basically am starting to go from nervousness to anxiety and toward panic as the plane is now taking off. As we're taking off, I'm holding my breath, right? And I'm trying not to defecate in my jeans. And then the plane does that thing after it takes off where it's like, it goes, and then all of a sudden, where it goes to level off and it makes that weird sound. It's like, and it sounds like it's going to fall out of the air. That's where I lose my shit. I literally start panic texting Chris. I grab the hand of the stranger next to me. I start hyperventilating. That's where all bets are off. And I'm basically in a freaked out state. The poor person next to me is going, oh my God, how did I get seated next to this freak? And I'm slowly trying to calm myself down. And I'm basically in that state until either the seatbelt sign goes off or the beverage cart comes out. Because I figure once the captain has told us the seatbelt sign is off or the beverage cart is out in the aisle, we're good. They would not release the seatbelts or release the beverage cart, right? If we weren't good. So that's how I used to deal with flying. That's what my life was. And then one day something very cruel happened. I was on a plane. It was a beautiful day. I was traveling with my family. Very short flight. That's another bonus when it comes to being nervous. If it's a short flight, a new plane, we're really good. Beautiful day. Got all those. We took off with my family hanging out, and the beverage cart was in the aisle. The seatbelt signs were off, and the plane hit an air pocket. And it all of a sudden dropped. And then the airbags dropped out. And I literally had a freaking heart attack. And you know what's interesting is I had spent so much time in my life panicking, Cameron, that when the you-know-what hit the fan, there was no panic left. Everybody else on the plane panicked. I was like, oh, this is how this ends? I actually got kind of mad. And luckily, nothing happened. I mean, the captain just came on and was like, we just hit an air pocket. Everything's fine. We're going to just go a little lower. We don't need to wear the oxygen mask. So, of course, then like complete idiots, everybody starts taking photos of themselves with the oxygen masks. And we land safely. But here's the problem with that. All of the little superstitious bargaining stuff. Oh, if it's a good plane. Oh, if the beverage cart. Oh, if there's a crew cut. Oh, if this happens, then I'm safe. I had all those things. And something happened. And so it was in that moment that I was like, I have to figure out how to change this. Because I want to fly a lot. I want to see the world. I don't want to spend 5 weeks before a test or a big, athletic meet or a flight I have to take or some presentation that's important racked with nerves. I don't want to sabotage my own potential. I don't want to torture myself with all these stupid fears. And that's basically what you and I are doing when we allow the nerves, which are normal. It is normal to be nervous. What I'm here to teach you, Cameron, is you don't have to let those nerves control your life or stop you from doing what you want to do with your life. We can flip the script on your own brain and your own nervous system. We're going to talk about fear and how fear and nerves are holding you back. So if you get nervous before you have to give a speech, this is an episode for you. If you get nervous about flying, episode for you. If you get nervous about making a cold call, this episode and the simple research I'm going to teach you will change your life, your brain, your nervous system forever.